Hey folks, it's Dave back here in Studio B, and want to give you my opening thoughts and I guess a review, of Franchise Hockey Manager 9. I've been playing this nonstop for about a week now, and really enjoy it. And I thought I would kind of just get some initial thoughts and I guess a review down here as well. I've been playing the Franchise Hockey series for quite some time. In fact, Franchise Hockey Manager 2 is still, it was like my fourth highest played Steam game of all time. Okay, I don't do a lot with Steam, but I play once in a while. My top one is a puzzle game when I just make puzzles. I just so many nights I kicked back and just did puzzles. But Franchise Hockey Manager 2, way back when, was my fourth highest played Steam game until Digital Diamond Baseball came around, and now I'm playing all my baseball games in that. So that's why that shot to the top. So I've been playing it for quite a while. 2 I thought was fantastic. I remember playing 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 and not really playing it much, as you can tell, because 2 still was my highest played game for the Franchise Hockey Manager series. Most of the time, I just did fantasy drafts, picked my team, played in commissioner mode, forced some trades, put some guys on my team that I wanted on my team. I always would take Gump Worsley and put him on my team, and I would play a lot of historical. Didn't do much modern season play. It was mostly the historical stuff from the 70s and the 80s. And I had my fun in it. I had a lot of fun in it. To this day, I can't figure out tactics or anything like that. I just never got to that point where I could figure out what I'm doing. So I would just let the computer handle it all, sim the season, make a couple of trades, have my fun, and be done with it. Okay? So it was kind of like Franchise Hockey Manager Light, if you will. That's kind of how I played it. Franchise Hockey Manager 9, after playing, I didn't play 8. I did play 7. And I played 5, I'm pretty sure. I played a lot of them. I know I didn't get 8. I know I skipped 8. Franchise Hockey Manager 9, it seems to smooth out all the issues I had with the Franchise Hockey Manager series. Just everything seems smoother. It seems easier. Now, in full disclosure, I do have a new computer, so it computes everything faster and everything loads faster. But still, it just seems like everything in the game is smooth, whereas when I played 7, it was a little clunky, had some issues that never really quite got resolved. Some did, some didn't, It was fun, but I was like, it just didn't grab me, and I didn't play it all that much. We fast forward to Franchise Hockey Manager 9, and I find myself not only just going back into the 70s and having an initial draft with all the players and just having some fun picking my fantasy team and again trading for Gump Worsley and doing all the things I used to do, but now they've really changed the way they handle the tactics, and that's one of the things that messed me up, and I didn't know what I was going to do with that. So now when you go into the tactics screen, there's a couple of columns on breaking out of the zone and, power play and shorthanded. There's a few things like that. And it tells you what you have selected, who's a good fit for that. So you can try out. You can click on this, click on that. Who's a good fit? And if you got a lot of terrible fits, then no, you don't want to select that as your tactic. So it gives you some visual guidance, finally, because that's what I've needed for so long is I have no idea what I'm doing. I always, liken it to being in the cockpit of an airplane. And there's all these levels of levers and buttons and dials and lights. It's like, what do you do? Like, if I hit this one, what's going to happen? If I hit that one, what's going to happen? And I never could figure out what to do right or what to do wrong. Now I feel like I got a little bit more control. So when I go into the tactics screen, I now can select my options and see how it affects the team. Not only that, when you go into your lines, and I'll show you that when we get going here, when you click on the player, it shows you what their role is. And now if you click on that, you can see a list of the roles that these players have and pick the best one. Because sometimes the computer will set it up and they'll pick a guy and he's got his role is a 10, let's say, and he's dangler is a 10. Well, you click on him, you go into the roles, and he might be 15 as an up and down winger or something like that, and so it just makes everything. It just spells it out a little bit better, and it never did that before, or at least 7 didn't do that. Now I feel like I got some guidance. I feel like I have some control. And what I like about it, too, is when you're on the line screen, you can hover over the guy, and it tells you who he works well with. So when I'm playing the old Bruins from the 70s, it's like, Busick works well with Esposito and Hodge works well with Esposito. That's going to be my first line, This guy plays well with this guy. Well, then I want to keep these guys together. So I feel like now I get a little bit of help in the game, helping me to make decisions on lines, helping make decisions on tactics, helping make decisions on roles for the players. So it's done a really good job with that. So Franchise Hockey Manager 9, it seems to have finally made this game playable for a guy like me who just kind of scratched the surface of the game for so many years. And I would have fun with it, but I didn't get into the weeds with it that much because I didn't know what the heck to do. And I know that they say they got a great forum, and they do. Every time I ask a question, it gets answered. I just have so many questions that it's like this is not going to want to answer them all. I would say, what does this do? What does that do? How come I can't win? I don't want to be that guy in the forum doing all that. You either know it or you don't. I've watched a ton of videos on it, and no matter how much I watch, I just never knew what to do or what I was doing. For the first time, I feel like I control things now, and so that's what I really like. You can still go, like I said, go back. I usually play historical. Go back with the historical leagues. You can do a custom league and jump right into the NHL season, or you can do another thing and play some different leagues, and we'll get into that right now. But the other thing that I've done before we get to the game itself is I never did anything with contracts. Okay, I never wanted to. I said one day maybe I'll get into the contracts and play GM mode and stuff like that. But I always just went AI handle all that, and I would just make my lines, make my trades, and sit back and watch. Now, I'm finding that the way it's laid out when doing contracts, even doing trades, they've made it easier to figure out. Not easier in the game, but it's easier to figure out. Before, I'd have no idea what I'm doing. Now you click on a guy, and he's like, I want, in the 70s, I want $87,000 for 3 years. I'm like, oh, no, that's my one of my better guys gets that, and you're not one of my better guys. So I say, okay, I'll give you 2 years. And then you ask him, no, I want 3 years, but I'll come down on my price. And so there was a fun little game of negotiating. So I would offer him this, and he would offer that. And then there's a button, okay, I'm going to add 10,000 more. See what he says. And it was a little cat and mouse game in the contract thing, and it was actually fun. It was more fun than I've ever had doing any of that because I never even tried that. So Franchise Hockey Manager 9, I find myself getting into the weeds a little bit more, sitting here, with the mouse going over the screen like that, doing things I never did in any of the other previous Franchise Hockey Managers. 9 has just smoothed it out. It made the process easier. I think graphically it adds some buttons and some things and some, it just gives you an idea what's going on. And it's never done that before, or at least not up through 7 that I can remember. So let's get down to it now, okay? So let me see if I can get my my screen to come up. And, yep, okay. I have to double check that. So let me show you what you can do here. So if you just do a standard game, it's a lot of people play. This is the current season, okay? So it's going to do a Dave test game, and I won't start as a real GM. I'm not going to do multiplayer, and we'll do the current season 2022-23, okay? And it comes with all the seasons, too. You don't buy seasons in this game. All the seasons come with it. So it's a one-time purchase, and you're ready to go. And the Steam Workshop, if you go down here to Steamworks at the bottom, where it says Steamworks, you go there, and the community's created a lot of terrific things like logos and jerseys and faces and the whole bit, and they plop right into this game, and they do a nice job with it. You don't even have to do anything with that. Okay, so you want to know what you can do? Well, you can play the base leagues of the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League, but here's what you can play. You can play the Australian League. You got Win Today Ice Hockey in Austria. You got Belarus. You got a whole bunch of Canadian teams. The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League is in there. You got some Czech leagues, Denmark, England, Finland, France, Germany, Japan, Norway, Poland, Russia. You can play the KHL if you want to. In fact, I think I had a friend of mine whose brother played in the KHL, so I might want to go and check that out. Slovakia, Sweden, Switzerland, and then, of course, you can play the East Coast Hockey League, the newly added, I believe, NCAA Division I, the Southern Professional League, and the Federal Prospects Hockey League. So these are all the leagues that you can play when starting up a new standard game. New custom game really kind of, I tried that. That really just does the NHL and the AHL. Historical game is just what it sounds like. You click on that. Now, this is NHL only, so if you click on this, you can go back and pick a year and whatever, and so let me click on that. So it goes all the way back to 1917, and you can go all the way up to 2021, and those are the years that you can play. You can let's see, historical expansion draft. So that means if a team comes into the league, you got to have an expansion draft. So yeah, you would say yeah if that's how you wanted to play it. The player development, I usually just recalculate before each season. I'm not sure what these do, but I like to recalculate. I don't want to have FHM do everything for me. Set initial rosters by draft. That's what I do. I set it up so the season begins. All players are free agents, and you pick as a fantasy draft, and that's really fun. And if you hover over here, it tells you what goes on, too. Random debut is fun. That means, it could put anybody into the draft, into your project here, and you could have a 19-year-old Gordie Howe and a 35-year-old Connor McDavid because it's random debut. That means they played at a random time. And I've done that before, and it's fun when you get some of the old-timers that are younger than the current guys, and it's a fun little mix. Again, this is one big hockey sandbox, and you can do anything you want in here. I don't get too competitive with this. There's a challenge mode that you can do, and that limits some of the commissioner mode things that you can do in this game, which make it really fun and simple. So I don't do any of that. I just play and have a good time. Anyway, going down here, the Iron Curtain rule. I like to uncheck this. So if I do enable historical editing, that means you can change what's going on in the past. If you uncheck this, that means Russian players are now available for you. And I did this, and I'm playing 1969, 1970, and I started that season, and I set it up this way, and I ended up picking up, I think it was Harmelov from the Russian squad that ended up playing in the 72 Summit Series. And the California Golden Seals picked up 3 Russians, and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals because they were led by 3 Russian players, Petrov and a couple of others, and it was fun. It was hysterical. I waited till Tretiak was 18, and now I'm going to sign Tretiak on my team that I'm playing. So it's fun adding the Russian players and anybody from over there in Europe. So I uncheck this because I want to have if I'm playing fictional fantasy land, then I'm going to have everybody here. So that's how you would do it. You'd set a name for the game down here and set it all up, and you're ready to go. But again, anything you want to know, just hover over it, and it'll pop up and tell you what goes on. So this game has done a fantastic, fantastic job of getting you through things and answering questions. All right, so let me go back to my 1969 Boston. All right, and I'm going to load this one here. And I'm already in 1970 and 71. Now, what I've done, okay, is in this thing here. Let me come back to Studio B for 1 second here and just say hi. What I've done is when you start a fictional game, okay, whatever year you want to play, you need to go back 1 year before that. So I wanted to start in 1970 and pick up the Bruins in 1970, let's say. Well, you can do that, but I didn't want to add Buffalo and Vancouver. Okay, I wanted to keep the original 6 and the next 6, so we have 12 teams, and I want to play them through the 70s. I don't want any expansion, and I don't want any teams to leave. And that's how I checked all those boxes. It allowed me to edit it, and then when I went into the NHL setup and commissioner mode and a few things like that, I set it up. So these 12 teams will continue as is until I change it. Again, total sandbox. But again, if I started in 1970 and it had already added Buffalo, Vancouver to give me the 14. So I had to go back. I had to do 1969, 1970. So that's where I started. And so when I finished that season, when it come up to July 1st, I set up the league, and I did not allow Buffalo, Vancouver to join the league. So what did that mean? That means I was able to pick up Rene Robert because he did not go to the Sabres. And I'm finding that along the way, more and more players that played on the Sabres and the Canucks are ending up on other teams, and that's what I wanted. What would happen? In this what would happen if the 12 teams just continued on and there was no expansion? So when I get to 72, 73, there's no Islanders, there's no Atlanta Flames. What's going to happen with Mike Bossy and Dan Bouchard and Phil Meir and Tom Lysiak and all the players from those teams? Where they're going to go? Well, that's the fun of it. You don't know where these guys are going to go. And already, I've only played a couple of seasons. I'm already seeing some of these players end up on different teams, and it's fantastic. It really is. It is really fantastic. So let me get back to the thing here. And so here's in the game here. So I am playing right now. So this is April 9th of 1971. So I played 69-70. We actually won the cup over the California Golden Seals. I'm playing as the Boston Bruins. I'll show you my roster. And I get Cheevers. And I have Gilles Vellemure is my backup goaltender here. Okay? And, again, he didn't ask for a lot of money, so that's why I signed him. You can see that, I have a lot of the same Bruins. Ari, Smith, Vadnais. Here's my Russian defenseman, Vladimir Luchenko. He's 22, and he's on my team. Bobby Baun is a SEAL, or was a SEAL, and in your manager section, when you go to your manager section, right, and you get your manager news, you see these things come up. And once in a while, it'll say, hey, so-and-so's unhappy with his team. So Bobby Baun was unhappy with his team. So what I did is, okay, well, if you're unhappy, and Bobby Baun is 34 years old, I'll scoop him up for the Bruins, and I'll take him on, a late addition for my cup run. Okay, and I traded a couple young prospects away. I love how when you do the trades, you can force trades, or you can negotiate and have some fun with it. Sometimes I'm just like, nope, I want him on my team, and this trade's done, and you're done. And there's no muss, no fuss. Okay, like before, you just have to wait and wait and wait. Now it's just boom, instantly it's done. He's on your team. It's beautiful. It's just such a fun sandbox. Obviously, I have Bobby Orr, Rick Smith, Chief Busick, and all the usual suspects. I also have Harlamov. I told you I got Valery Harlamov or Karmalov. So I got a couple of Russians on the team, and I also grabbed Maltsev. So I have 3 young Russians on the team that are doing okay. My right wing is the usual Hodge McKenzie. Here's my Rene Robert. As you can see, when you hover over him, it shows where he's been. And he's been in Boston the whole time. I picked him up as a free agent, and stuff like that's so fun. If you come over here to your info, you can see your offensive stats. So you can see that Esposito in 80 games. Again, we just finished the regular season going into the playoffs. He's 126 points, so he's a beast. Harmelov right there as well, or right behind him. And it just goes right down the line. If I go to the standings, this is going to be our playoff matchup. I've already defeated the Rangers in 1 game. Here's kind of how it ended up. And here's how I set up my divisions, too, is I ended up putting them back to the original 6 in the East and all the new teams in the West, as you can see. And that's how I did it. Now, the Seals went from first to worst. They, if you can believe it, they went to the Cup last year. This year, they're at the bottom, kind of where they should be. But I'm still playing the 6 against the 6 here, and that's kind of how I want to do it, and that's how I set it up. If I go to my my stats here, I can see, after who did well. So Harmelov had the most goals, but so it was Harmelov and Esposito 1-2, and then Orr and Hodge. So we were killing it. The Bruins killed it, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stack up the Bruins, and I really wanted to do it. If I wanted to check out the goaltenders, Cheevers for Boston was good. Al Smith he went from Pittsburgh to St. Louis. Tony Esposito doing his usual stuff. Crozier, Jacquemin, Perrant. And his was kind of neat. This Vladimir Zurilla, again, is another Russian goalie, and he's picked up by the North Stars, and he's doing very well. And that's what makes this super, super fun, is all the little things like this you can do. It's unlimited, the projects that you can do in this game. But what's really fun is if I go to my roster, and I click on a player, so Jerry Cheevers, and I take a look at the contract, this is what you do. You go over here to the menu, and you can really offer a new contract and set some things out, buy out rights, send them to the minors. It's pretty unlimited, and I've really had some fun playing with the contracts. I really have, and I didn't think I would, but I did. What else can I show you here? Oh, the other thing is that, so I'm on my Bruins, and again, here's what's really fun here. So here's my lineups here. Over here in the action menu, you can tell the assistant to create lines, and he'll create the lines for you, or you can set your own lines. I'm going to click on Cashman, 2-way forward. Now, if I click on this over here, here's all the roles he can play, and obviously 2-way forward is his best role but I can power forward is pretty close too, so I can click on power forward. I go back to my lines, and Cashman is now a power forward. What I like to do here, at least with my forwards, is I like to have at least one guy shooting the puck, and everybody else either a playmaker or a grinder or something like that. So Hodge is going to go in the corner. Cashman's my power forward. Esposito is going to be my dangler. On defense, I like Dallas Smith as an old-school defenseman, and Bob, you are kind of my point shooter. So he's more offense, and Dallas Smith is more defense. And that's kind of how I did that. One feature that I really, really like is they make it so easy to swap players. So let's just say, okay, so I got Rene Robert over here on the wing. Okay, he's my third-line right winger. Let's just say I want to put in John McKenzie tonight. So I go over to Rene Robert. I right-click, and I say replace with right winger Johnny McKenzie, and it automatically dresses McKenzie, and it scratches Robert and puts him in, and you're done. And this is stuff that I either didn't figure out or that's not how it was done in Franchise Hockey Manager 7. Everything about Franchise Hockey Manager 9 is so smooth. It just is. It's so smooth. What else can I show you? Oh, yeah. The other thing that was big here is the team harmony. Okay, now if I go to my roster, you can see that Cheevers is unhappy. Team morale and spending is not good. Vadnais is not happy. Oh, let me go back here. Orr's not happy either. Team morale and harmony. Maltsev's, he's on a new team. He feels isolated. So you have all this team harmony stuff that you have to deal with. So if I click on team harmony, we got some conflicts. We got Don Ori and Derek Sanderson have a conflict. So Sanderson's having a conflict with just about everybody, And we got a couple of clicks going on. And so you got to kind of play babysitter a little bit, too. And Sanderson, he's got a problem with everybody. All righty. So I don't know what it is with Sanderson, but he's just not doing well here. And again, if you hover over it, it tells you what's going on. Players on the left side of the list are upset with all the players listed to the right. The least severe conflict is 1, which means the problem will end soon. Higher numbers will persist longer. So we got some problems on the team, and we even have a click over here as well. So this is just a nice little fun addition to the game that you can play around with, and it's kind of cool. All right, so let's do this. So let's go back to my schedule here. So you can do a couple things here. You can just sim the game real quick. So I can go sim, sim, and sim. I can even view the report of the game, which I really like. So this is your box score. It gives you your 3 stars, and it tells you what happened in the game between the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. It shows you shots on goal, power play summary, the goaltenders, the whole bit. Click here. What I like to see is the game rating. You click on this, who played well in the game and who did not play well in the game. And that gives you an idea who you might want to play in the next game. All right, so let me go back to my schedule. So these games already were played. And now I can either sim this, or I can play this, or I can go up here to play versus New York. I'll show you the 3D, okay, 2D chalkboard, I should say. It's okay. I don't like to use it too much, but it's okay. So, the other thing is I could never figure out how to change my goaltender. Okay, if you click on special, now you can drag Velimir up to play in net. But Chivas obviously is the hot goalie, so you want Chivas there in the net right there. And this is how you would change all your lines in the whole bit. Change, some of the other things here. We're going to go ahead and we'll continue with the game. If I want just to sim the game from here, I click sim, and it tells me what happened. And then I can get my report. We've got Jacquemin and Chivas going at it. Let's play the game in the 2D mode. This is what it looks like. And you can really, really get involved in here as well. So if I go to my options, okay, I'm going to have it play normal mode. And we're going to fit it to screen. We'll have some games. We'll break on goals, penalties, and injuries, and a goalie change. If you use on-ice decisions, let me show you that. And we'll put on manual line changes, and we'll show you that. All right, so here we go. Let's play. So the teams come out, and they'll skate around. And you can see you got Boston in the dark jerseys on the right, and the Rangers will be on the left in the light jerseys, and they'll just kind of skate around, and then they'll head to the bench. And we got the little thing at the bottom. Starting tonight is Jacquemin. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. His goals against is 6. And it just tells you some news at the bottom. They'll line up for the anthem. They don't play the anthem, which is kind of good. They just do a couple little things. I've also seen some mods where you can get rid of these squares and turn them into players, and it looks really neat. I haven't figured that out yet, but there's a way of doing that. All right, so there's the anthem's done. So now they're going to square off, and here we go. It's Rattel and Esposito, and this is what the 2D chalkboard looks like. This is on the slower mode. So now, here's some on-ice decisions. If you want to get into this can be really, really fun if you want to get into it. So Ken Hodge has control of the puck in his defensive zone. What do we want to do? Well, we don't want to shoot in his own zone. Do we want to wait? Do we want to dump it out? Do we want to skate? So Hodge has the puck, and if we skate, his speed is a 15, his agility is a 14, his puck handling is 18. Let's skate. So we're going to click on 3, and he's going to skate with it out of the zone. So now he has the puck. He comes over the Ranger blue line. It's onside. Goes up against the defenseman. Moving in. Drops it back to Orr. Orr has it at the point. He's 57 feet from the net if I want to shoot. His shooting range is 18. Orr's going to take the shot. Orr shoots, and that's going to be stopped in front and taken by the Rangers. So that's kind of how that works. If you want to make some on-ice decisions, here you go. So Esposito has control of the puck in the neutral zone. They got an odd man rush, it looks like. So I think we're going to skate it in the zone. Well, the Bruins are changing up, so he's all on his own right now. So he still has the puck. Moving in, shot, and he scores. So Esposito scores, and it's from Orr and Westfall, and it's 1-0 Boston. So that's kind of how that works right there. Now, if I go back to my options and get rid of the on-ice decisions and the manual line changes, now it'll just play, and I won't have any of those stoppages in play. Those can be kind of fun, but it does take a long time to play the game. It's almost kind of like playing pitch by pitch when you're playing a baseball game. So let me speed this up a little bit. So this is the normal speed. So let me go to options, and we're going to speed this up. We're going to go to fast, and you can see how much faster it goes. You can see the clock ticking down, 30, 20. So it goes really quick. You have an idea what's happening in the game. Still no decisions to be made, but it's kind of a 2D representation of what's going on. Some people like it. Some people don't. It is kind of neat if you like to make some decisions and you really want to get into it on a game-by-game basis and have those decisions to make. It's really kind of fun. All right, so we're just going to sim to the end. And Rangers win it 3-2, actually. So we continue on. So the series is tied at 1-1. So Boston went up 2-0, and that was it. Irvine and Hatfield scored, and then it was Donnie Marshall in overtime to win it for the Rangers. So as good as my team is, and we put 43 shots on Jacquemin, he made 41 saves. Chivas only saw 20 shots, and he gave up 3 goals. That's not that good. So now we come back here, and you always go to your messages. You can check them if you want. Sometimes they're kind of fun to read. Sometimes they're important. Sometimes they're not. You got a Bobby Orr lights the lamp game. Ken Hodges Player of the Month type of stuff. It's just very immersive and really, really fun if you want to read that stuff there. So we go back to the standings. And you can see the series is tied at 1-1. Penguins are up over the Kings. Blues over the Flyers. And the Hawks and the Red Wings are tied at 1-1. So that's kind of how that goes. But I just think it's really great that now. Oh, the tactics. So if I go to the tactics, right? Remember I talked about that earlier. So my breakout tactics. So you can see it's this here is a great fit for or bad fit for these guys here. So let's see if I go along the boards. That seems to be a little bit better. You know, the only bad fit is Rick Smith, but everybody else, well, it's a bad fit for these guys too. So maybe through the center. All right, that seems to work better. It's a good fit for these guys. Stretch, even better. Forwards high. That's even better. Strict positional. That seems to work for the most people. So I'll keep that. And again, you can change your attacking, your aggressiveness, your back checking. You can really, really get into the weeds here. And I feel that this version is much better at that. I really, really do. Again, this you can just play around in here and do some things. I really need to go and check out my my team harmony because Derek Sanderson's causing some problems in the whole bit. But yeah, so that is some of the things you can do. Let me go back to Studio B here, and we'll wrap things up. So that's kind of a first look review, I guess, if you will. Franchise Hockey Manager 9. I can't stop playing this game. And I haven't been able to say that about a Franchise Hockey Manager game since 2. 2 was so much fun, just drafting and playing. But still, I just kind of watched what happened and put guys on my team. Now I'm getting into more of the weeds. Again, I'm doing the contract things. It's fun. It's fun. When a team puts a guy, maybe not on waivers, but they're like, hey, like the Seals, we're looking to trade Bobby Bond. Well, he's an older defenseman. That's not, if he's unhappy on his team, maybe I can get him for a cheap price. So I go in and I force a trade. I could offer a trade and wait for the result, but I go in there. It's my sandbox. It's my way. I offered him, I think, a pretty good young defenseman. So now they have a young guy to work with. That's not going to be a problem. I'll take the problem on my team and see if he works out. It's just so fun. The tactics are better. The team harmony is new, and that's kind of fun to try to play around with that. I'm finding myself doing the contract thing. I really am, and I never did that before. But I'm getting a little deeper now into Franchise Hockey Manager 9. It probably did help that I've played so many of the other versions over the year that I have an idea how to get around. But I'm finally comfortable enough digging into some of the other things, and it's been so much fun. So that's a semi-quick look. It's been a half hour, but, whatever. That's a look at Franchise Hockey Manager 9. It was on sale for $10. That's when I picked it up. It is a lot of fun. It is smoother. I think it's easier to play than the other ones. Not saying you're going to win a lot, but just as far as the ease of play and figuring things out, that's what I mean. It's not an easy game to win if you play by all the rules. But if you want to set up a sandbox, you can set up a sandbox. You can put Wayne Gretzky on any team you want. You can put teams anywhere. In my historical replay here that I have right now, I'm in 1970-71 playoffs. When I start 71-72, if I want, I can put the San Jose Sharks in the league as an expansion team. And I did that in one of my other replays. It's just one big hockey fun fest. I feel like I'm taking a bath in hockey fun is what it feels like, because it's just hockey everywhere. And I got so many projects going on in here, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. I really, really am. So, hey, anyway, I'm Dave, and that's my thoughts, my initial thoughts, and a quick review on Franchise Hockey Manager 9. I'm sure I'll be back with more Franchise Hockey Manager 9 videos here on the channel. Until next time.